Warning! The Stone Age Gamer podcast includes a lot of bad language. Cover your motherfucking ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer podcast. I'm Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Boy in a Ball Cap, Dan Ryan.
Oh, I mean, accurate.
It's not inaccurate.
No. This is, in fact, a ball cap.
And as we were just discussing, you are a boy.
I am a boy, yes. With balls to dip into things.
It's time to return to the Alphabet Super Series, where Dan and I take turns picking classic games we've never finished to dedicate our time to. His pick for the letter E was EarthBound for Super NES. Does this cult favorite RPG classic hold up? Watch out for new age retro hippies, because the Stone Age Gamer podcast starts now.
His pick for the letter E 6 years ago was EarthBound.
And I still didn't finish it. Hi, everyone. This is episode 626. It's the week of July 10th, 2026, and welcome. For anyone new here, this is the official podcast of StoneAgeGamer.com. Dan and I talk every week about what's happening in the world of video games from a retro gamer's perspective, as well as whatever the hell else is going on in our lives. Speaking of which, how you doing?
Oh,
hot. Got it.
Hot. Just, I mean, I know. But still.
When I bought Phillies tickets, I didn't know it was going to be during a heat wave. So I took Ellie to a 101 degree weather baseball game, where the Phillies just absolutely got their shit kicked in.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first 5 innings were like nobody did anything. It was just boring. Everyone was too hot to play baseball. Because it was too hot. It was too hot to play baseball. And then one of the teams was going to fall apart. It was just bound to happen. And wouldn't you know it, that one pitcher on the Phillies, I want to say, can never remember his name, but every time he gets up, I get nervous. He's the big Hispanic dude with the big beard.
Yeah.
I think his name's Rodriguez. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I think so.
He makes me nervous, like, because he looks nervous. Every time he's there, he's like...
It's not what you want.
He just looks like he's ready to fall apart in a moment's notice. Yeah, I see no confidence in that man. And every time he gets up, things go poorly. Not every time, but almost every time. But anyway, we still had fun. Ellie and I had a blast, and I was so proud of her because... So we were the store, you know, where you could buy hats and shirts and all that stuff. That was air conditioned. So every couple of innings, Ellie and I would make our way down to the store and wander around for a bit and cool down. The stadium was giving out bottles of water. They were giving out ice at all the concession stands. Anywhere you could just ask for a cup of ice, they just give you ice. They were doing their best. Nobody cared about what seats people belonged to. Everybody was just trying to get to the seats in the shade. Everybody was just sitting wherever they could. And that part was fun. But there was this one point where we were going down to the store, and we had been up and down the escalator a couple of times. And on our third trip down, Ellie stopped and talked to the lady that was running the escalator. She's like, "How you doing? You doing okay?" And it just made this woman's day. Like that someone was asking her how she was holding up in the heat. And they talked for a second, and she gave Ellie a lollipop and said, "You know, you're a really good fan, and you made my day." So the game's fallen apart, and Ellie's hot, and I'm hot, and I was actually pretty proud of myself for how I handled the heat. I didn't used to be able to handle heat at all. I'm way better at it this year than I have been previously. I assume it has something to do with the diet and exercise, but who can say? So I was like, you know... it's possible. Here's the situation. If we leave now, we're in the car sooner. We're probably going to miss a bunch of the traffic. And chances are this game's not going to end very well.
No.
But, not the previous series, but the series before, we had 3 ninth-inning comebacks in a row. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could happen. And I've learned you never leave baseball early, because you just never know what's going to happen.
It's not over till it's over.
It's not over till it's over. So I'm saying, if you want to leave now because you're so hot, absolutely. We can just listen to the game on the way home. We'll put it on the radio, and we'll listen to the game on the way home. We've been here the whole day. We had a great time. When we did, we walked around. We got, I got a hot dog, and we both shared like a pizza. She got some Dippin' Dots on a baseball hat thing. I bought a new Phillies cap. We just had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And Ellie was like, no. That lady said, I'm a good fan, and a good fan will stick around to the end. Let's do it. What do we got? 2 more innings? I can do this. It's like, all right, kid. Good on you. I was so proud of her. And we went up, we sat all the way at the very tippy top, and we watched the Phillies just absolutely bork it for the rest of the game. And then we were stuck in traffic for about an hour getting out of the stadium. And since we were stuck in traffic, the air conditioning in the car wasn't blowing cold air. It was blowing like moderately cool at best air, because the cold air doesn't happen until you start driving. And we were not driving for an hour. So we were absolutely miserable. But we were also having a lot of fun. We were singing songs. When we were home last night, during dinner, Ellie kept singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" under her breath. And I was like, man, this is too good. This is too good. I mean, just love it.
That's everything you want. I was in the city yesterday. I was at work, and I stopped by a record store, and
they were selling cups of melted vinyl.
Yeah, here you go. Here's liquid vinyl for you. Press your own record. It'll be fun.
Can I get a glass of this record, please?
You have any Wings record in 16 ounce? Maybe 12 ounce? I don't know. What's the size? Anyway.
I see you got a pint of Moxie Fruvis, though.
I did, yeah. Live Moxie Fruvis today. That was fun. Different.
Hey, you were
different
absolutely
story.
right. I saw you in the Discord mention Bargainville. That's a fantastic record.
It's one of the best records of all time. Like not even hyperbole, right? Like it is a phenomenal record. And then,
King of
boy,
Spain,
do they take
classic.
a turn.
I have not listened to anything other than those two. I've listened to Bargainville and Live Noise, and that's really all I know from them.
The rest of them are all like really serious. Like they tried to be like a serious band. Yeah, it's weird. You're not missing much. But I'm at this record store yesterday, and it was around the time that the Phillies game was starting. And the guy behind the counter is like, "Would you believe this shit? They're actually starting this Phillies game." And I was like, "Oh yeah, my buddy's with his kid at that game." And he was like, "Is he a fucking asshole? Does he hate his kid?" And I was like, "Yo, maybe, but I don't know." Like the legit were his words. So
okay, so I will agree with. So this was the thing that we talked about beforehand. We're like, this is going to make a fun story. We're going to do it. She's almost 10. She can handle it. And if ever at every point she couldn't, we were going to turn around and go home. We were just there for the experience and the story of it all. But there were people there with babies, and I was not okay with that.
No.
Like, why did you bring a baby to roast in this heat at a baseball game? Like,
I mean,
what possible good reason could there be for that?
There is also the, like we used to see it all the time when we lived in Florida, right? Like, we would get tickets to Disney World just to go watch the fireworks, right? Like we would literally not do anything else. We would drive up, somebody gave us a parking pass, right? So we didn't pay for parking. We walked in, watched the fireworks and left. And there were people there, right, that had saved their entire lives to do this trip. And they were fucking doing everything. It didn't matter how much it cost or what the temperature was. This was their Disney trip. This was so like for a lot of families.
I do know that. Yeah, I do know what that's like.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like for a lot of families, baseball games are not every baseball game is super expensive, right? Like the Yankees game I'm going to is fucking crazy expensive, but I would never have paid those prices, but I understand people that are like, these are the tickets I have. This is the only game I can afford to go to. Mm-hmm. I'm going,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the position that we were in. Like, we got the $25 tickets, and we could only afford the two of us, so we did it. And we figured,
so you're going.
Worst case scenario, if we got to leave early, we got to leave early. But we're going to go there. We're going to live the experience. But also, she's 9 years old. Like, that's not a baby in 101 degree weather. That's different color. And I'm not trying to be super judgmental. It's just like,
no, I don't disagree with you. Like you kind of maybe eat that $50 and don't bring a baby with you, but also like fuck that baby. It's fine. All
right, so you went to a record store. Sorry, we are doing our best to try to keep things moving tonight. Because Dan might actually die or melt or burst into flames.
I don't know if you can see how red my face is out here. I haven't been exerting myself. This is what I'm lifting this beer to my face. So anyway, I went to a record store. He called you an asshole.
Good enough.
That was the point of that story.
All right. Well, speaking of assholes, it's time for the Alphabet Super Series. Sure. Best segue ever.
Heck of a transition. Loved it.
I'm good at this. So the alphabets, let's see. Best segue ever. There we go. Just writing that down in case it turns into the episode title. So the Alphabet Super Series, every month Dan and I take turns picking different video games based on different letters of the alphabet, and we're going in alphabetical order. Dan's pick for the letter E was EarthBound, the classic Super NES RPG. Talk to us about your decision to pick this game, and give us any relevant history for this game, and so on and so forth. The floor is yours.
So the main reason that I picked EarthBound is because you fucking nerds won't shut up about it. No, I had never played EarthBound. Right, so this came out originally in North America. Anyway, it released in June of 1995 and has since gone on to become one of those like mythical fucking games, right? Like,
it's a very beloved cult classic.
It is a very, very beloved cult classic, and there's a lot of games that I like that were influenced by EarthBound. There's a lot of creators that I like that were influenced by EarthBound, and I thought it's time to go ahead and give it a shot. Now, EarthBound, for those of you who don't know, and I can't imagine that's very many people listening to this particular podcast, but for those of you who don't know, this is the second game in the Mother trilogy. Mother originally came out on the Famicom. Mother 2, what we know as EarthBound, it's the only one that we've gotten localized here, was released on the Super Famicom, and then Mother 3 was released on the Game Boy Advance, right? I'm not making that up.
The original NES one did actually get localized officially and was never released until the Wii U Virtual Console, the Wii Virtual Console.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
but
the official translation was actually officially released, just not back in the old
Just
day.
Not then. And that one, is that the one that's labeled as EarthBound Beginnings?
Correct, yeah. There was a popular fan translation for the longest time called EarthBound Beginnings, because the game, when it was going to be released for NES, was just called EarthBound. And when you boot it up now, the title screen just says EarthBound. But
which is weird.
Yeah. But they skipped it and went with the Super Nintendo version, and that's the whole story, I think.
And then Mother 3 has not been localized. Or has
Correct.
it?
Mother 3 has not been localized.
But there are fan translations and shit for Mother 3.
There are many fan translations, not many. I know there's at least one that most people consider to be very good, and supposedly the game is very good, and hopefully someday we'll all be able to play it in some sort of official capacity.
Perhaps. One of the things that has always intrigued me about EarthBound, right, is that it's always kind of lauded as one of the best RPGs of all time, while also being a very anti-RPG RPG, right? Like, it doesn't... This is not Final Fantasy, right? Like, if you're looking for...
it doesn't take place in a real fantasy setting.
Yeah, like, this takes place on Earth, right? Like, in regular towns. Regular Jace, later in the game. But, like, regular towns and regular kids, and this isn't, like, fantasy. It definitely has elements of science fiction in it, but it's certainly a more grounded story, and you're not going to get a Final Fantasy-like experience if that's what you are expecting going into greatest RPGs of all time. If you've never played it, this is not Chrono Trigger. This is not a tactical RPG, right? It's very, very much its own thing. And after getting through it, like a month and a half ago before we recorded this episode. Like I had to go back today and kind of like refresh my memory. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm not entirely sure. Like I think I haven't put any thought into this because I wanted it to kind of happen organically, like throughout the conversation on the show. I haven't thought about what I'm going to rate any of the categories and whatnot. I think this is going to end up pretty high ratings wise, but I still don't know if I enjoyed my time with it all that much. Does that make sense?
It does. This is an interesting game. It took me a long time to get through it the first time I made it through. I played it back in the day, but only enough to rent it because I wasn't really into turn-based RPGs back then.
Right.
I hadn't really gotten the hang of them.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it, but I really liked the look of the game, which was one of the things that most people didn't like about this game back when it came out. Was this was during a time when everything needed to have the most amazing technical graphics, and people looked at this game and said, "Ew, this game looks like trash." Because a lot of games that if a game didn't look like Donkey Kong Country, it was considered lesser than, because mainstream gaming media was very obsessed with bits and how many megs is your cartridge and that kind of stuff,
pushing the polygons as far as they can go.
This was really just a perfect artistic expression of what they wanted to do. Like, this game looks pretty much the way they wanted it to look, as far as
it's
I know.
Very it's got a very innocent look to it. It's got a very like childlike innocence about it.
Yeah,
which I kind of like. Honestly, I think that's one of the strong points.
Same. I always loved the way this game looked. I thought it looked incredible. And so I played it a little bit and didn't really hook me. And then when it came out on the Virtual Console, I played through the first. I played for like a week or two, and then I took like 6 months off. And then I played more of it, and then I took another couple of months off, and then I finally finished it. So my actual playthrough of the game was very segmented. And playing through it this time was I ran into a lot of I don't have time for this. You know what I mean? Like, this game is very, very proactive in terms of being more accessible with things like you can see encounters. They're not random encounters, which is a big up from EarthBound Beginnings, which is random encounters like every 3 steps. Which is why I'll never get anywhere in that game ever, because every time I play
it's just so frustrating.
I'm just bogged down in constant menus. But in this game, like, if you get strong enough, you can just walk right up to a creature, and it'll just skip the battle and assume you won, which is great.
I do like that aspect of it. I like watching that box pop up and be like, "You won!" Like, no shit, right?
Just like,
fuck yeah, I did.
And it's a great way to get some free experience points.
Yeah,
this game's personality is really what sells it. It does get, like I said, it gets bogged down. It gets bogged down in itself a bunch. There are shortcuts that make things a little bit more accessible, but it does kind of buckle under the weight of its own old school RPG-ish nature sometimes. Which is why I didn't finish it, because I finished it before, right? I've gone through the experience before. I really loved the ending where, I mean, spoiler alert, but the way it all came together, where when you are the entity that is helping them beat Gygas at the end, the game is talking to you, the player.
I like that quite a bit.
And especially when you consider when this game came out, it was a relatively novel idea, like to really speak directly to the person playing the game. And everything from the simplistic characterizations, the writing, and the kind of goofball nature to everything, when it does hit you with those emotional beats, specifically with its music. The music in this game is this just wonderful, wonderful music that really makes you feel that sense of home and sense of adventure and sense of oddness, and the sound design is just extraordinary in this game.
It really, really is. Among among everything in this game, all of the different aspects of it, right? Like all the character bits that you're talking about. Because I agree, like I do think the story is good and is interesting and all of that, while also thinking that the writing is one of the parts that could really be dramatically improved by a remake or a remaster of this game.
Right, because you could definitely tell what they were going for, but we're still talking about a 90s Japanese translation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For its time, this was the amount of personality that's in this, and the colloquialisms of like it's very aimed at like kind of a Americana sort of vibe that they're aiming for with all this stuff. This is one of those games that I would absolutely love to see remade, but remastered. Like, I don't want to see this with crazy modern graphics. I would really just like to see it spruced up and give some modern tweaks and get a fresh translation. I think it would be. It's capable of being so much more than it is. But that being said, it is already so very much. You do have to swallow You have to swallow a decent amount of grindy nonsense in order to get through this game. Like, there's no question about it. There are things about it that can be very frustrating when you're used to more modern games. However, I think the game's personality, its personality, its music, I think it all comes together well enough to justify making your way through the entire experience, because the high points definitely outweigh the lows. For me, anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't regret my time spent with it. I actually, after getting through it, really wished that I had finished this when I was a kid. Right? If I'd have played this when I was like 15 or 16, this would have hit much differently, and I totally understand how I would have like fallen into that, like, this is the shit. This is the best game I've ever played, you know what I mean? But now, playing through it 30 years later, after having played things like Undertale, which I know it's not the same game.
Heavily influenced. Undertale and Deltarune.
Yeah.
Very
but boy, are those better representations, in my opinion, of this style of RPG, right? So having played through that, again, just my opinion, having played through, I haven't played through Deltarune, but playing through as much of Undertale as I have, and Off is another one, playing through games like that, it makes me see the flaws in EarthBound a little bit more than had this been a game that I had nostalgia for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I get what you're saying, and I would agree. It's well worth playing, but it's kind of like the original NES Metroid. It's well worth. It's not that there aren't better ways to play this kind of thing,
right?
There is still something to be like the core of what this is, warts and all, still works pretty well.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, the music is just absolutely incredible. I mean, like, in other news, water's still wet, right? Like, the music in EarthBound is legendary for a very, very good reason. It is just fucking outstanding, and really does a really, really good job of, like, fitting every scene that it's a part of and making it almost acting right as another character, the way music is supposed to influence the experience that you're having. You know, if you put different music over the opening scene of A Clockwork Orange as the camera's panning back from Alex's eye, right? If you put a jaunty sea shanty in there, like, now all of a sudden this is a fucking absolutely ridiculous exercise that we're going through. But that very specific Moog synthesizer soundtrack that film has just adds to the experience, and the soundtrack for this really does do that. I also really liked the way that I thought it was really nice, the way that the party members kind of came and went as they needed to, right, dependent on the story, and it never really a lot of times when RPGs do that, I feel frustrated or I feel weaker as an overall party, but I never felt like losing a character at a time when they went, like when Pooh goes to learn, what was it, whatever the fuck thing he goes to learn. When he disappears for a little bit, like I never really felt like that absence, because it's well designed in that way, right? And I really just kind of appreciated that. Yeah, this is a weird ass game.
It is indeed a weird ass game, no question about it.
It's a weird ass game, and I think one of the issues that I have after playing through it is that I don't feel that it fully embraced either side of it enough. Because it's cute and whimsical and charming, and that's fine, but it's also fucking weird as shit. And that final battle with Gygas is insanity, like, and the robots and the spirit, like, all of the shit that happens is just fucking wild. But I don't know if I felt like the rest of it was weird enough to get to that final battle. Because it's pretty weird. But I don't know that it was quite far enough to get to what that final fucking battle is. Because that's just, I mean, and I don't know that I actually want to play the game that is weird enough to get to earn that final battle. You know what I'm saying? But it feels very, that was one of the few things where I felt like it was just really tonally inconsistent with the rest of the design of the game. Like, I think there might have been a different way to do that. I didn't necessarily love the prey thing about it. That's just my own personal bullshit, though. You know?
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I almost wonder what the is it called prey in the Japanese version? Like, is the Japanese word prey? Because I use that thing all the time. Her prey move, where it's just like, well, let's see what happens. And it'll be like, hey, everyone got 15 health points back. Or your hair's on fire now. Sorry.
Yeah.
I love how that was just a complete crapshoot thing. I really enjoyed that gamble move.
I think I like the idea of it. I like the message of, like, the, you know, the power of collective positive energy, you know, destroying this ultimate evil and, like, all of that shit. And, like, you know, I'm totally down with that. I just didn't love the, like, let's pray about it. And then they prayed about it. And then they prayed about it. I was like, did they? Because, boy, am I getting upset, like, right here at the end of this game. You know, because, that just, for me, that kind of, you know, and like I said, this is my own bullshit. I understand that people have very, very strong feelings about this game and its story and all of those things. For me, that really takes me out of the experience, right? Because it feels like we're going through this wild, fanciful, whimsical, charming thing, and it comes down to praying to God and fuck all that. Like, I'm just not, to me, adding that aspect of it to the story overall is a weird kind of addition to it. Like, Gygas being defeated by the power of prayer, specifically in this version. I didn't play the Japanese version. I don't know what the translation is. But
was it specifically praying to God, or was it just praying?
It's not necessarily praying to God, but, like, who listens to your prayers, Kris? It's not me. I don't hear them. You know what I mean?
I guess that I don't know. It never really. If they had specifically said praying to God, that would have been one thing. But for me, when I was playing it, I didn't really think about it so much as, like, Christian religion praying kind of thing. More like, this is just sort of a, I don't know, praying to the universe, whatever. I don't know. Hard like to say what exactly that means. It is, it's.
This is my own bullshit.
I understand exactly.
I understand
what you're saying.
You know what like, I understand that the background that I bring to this game as a very, angry is not the right word, but a very angry atheist is like, I'm just not interested in that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know? No, I get it. That is one
not as
it's a little odd.
I don't like that. I don't like that aspect in any media. It's not just this game. It's I really don't like when athletes at the end of a game, when they're like, you know, how was your performance out there today? It's like, well, all thanks to the man upstairs, like, prayers be to, you know, whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, but you did that. Like, you did the thing. Like, you went out there and threw the ball or hit the ball or shot the ball or hit the puck or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like ascribing things to, like, the ether. But I also like the idea of, like, positive energy.
Positive energy is great, but the sports one in particular has always bothered me. Like, now wait a second. So, you think that nobody on the other team prayed? Like, why do you think that God decided to help you and not the other team? Like, don't like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to switch headphones there, like mid talk, because my
Did I lose you? Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can't hear you.
Oh shit! Did I hit my? Hold on.
What happened to Dan? Something happened. Dan has left us.
There you go. Is that better?
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry, my headphones died. I was just sitting out here and it was like, headphones empty. And I was like, wait, what the fuck, headphones empty? Kris is saying shit. So
empty? What were they full of before?
I don't know. Full of battery. So yeah,
Jam.
Like, what did you say? I missed what you said. Please repeat.
Oh, looks like my family went to go get ice cream. Hi.
Without you? That's fucked up.
Oh, Ellie says hi to you. Ellie just said, tell Dan I said hi.
Aw.
Now
tell
Hopper's
Ellie she's
barking
the
at
best.
family.
Hi, Hop. What
Yes, Hopper,
was it that you just said?
I don't remember.
Oh God! Look at that! I'm taking my bald head out.
Yeah.
It's so fucking hot down here. Holy shit!
It's only getting hotter.
Oh, God. Whoa! Hey.
All right. Well, I think we've said a decent amount about EarthBound. I think it's time to check in with what our listeners had to say about EarthBound.
Are we rating it first, or are we listeners first?
What do you want to do? It's your pig, your farm. What do you choose?
It's my pot, my tamales. All right, sure. Let's rate it first, and then we'll go to whatever.
Okay, then.
We'll go to the listeners after that. All right. So, sorry, I'm just pulling that up, so I'm ready to. All right. So, graphics out of 5. Kris, what do you got?
I would give this a 4.5 out of 5.
I'm gonna go with a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are a few things that it could have done better. I would have liked to see some sort of animations during the battles. The spell animations can sometimes be a bit wonky and choppy. But all in all, I really like the look of this game. I think the art direction is fantastic. And I love the crazy psychedelic backgrounds when you're doing the battles. I absolutely love that. So yeah, this gets a 4.5 for me.
I can see that. I just liked it a little bit less, right? Just like you said, some of the animations, the spells, that sort of stuff. What's there is good, but man, I would love to see it cleaned up a little bit. Sound, I mean, that's a 5.
That's a 5. No question. That sound effect for Smash, the Runway 5 song, all the music. Wonderful.
It's great. Yeah. It's just great. Control. So here's a weird one for Control. I'm gonna give it a 5
4 because See, I'm giving it a 4 because I'm going to attribute some of the overly complicated menu navigation to Control. Like, they do some things where you can like press the L button or something like that, but there are steps. It still has some remnants of those older RPGs where there are extra steps involved in doing things. Some of the inventory management can be a bit of a pain in the ass, and I'm going to attribute that to Control. So I'm going to knock 1 point off and give the Control a 4.
That, you just convinced me. I'm going to take it down to a 4. I was going to give it a 5 because, like, it really just does everything that it's trying to do.
But there's got to be something. Right. There's got to be something that takes a hit when it comes to like I have too many things in my inventory and it's just not enough space so I got to give this to somebody else and I can't just take things yet. It's a little bit of a bust. So I'm going to throw them with Control.
I did really like, just as we're talking about Control, though, I don't think we mentioned it. We did mention the, like, you walk up to enemies and you just automatically win the fight. But there's also an auto battle feature that you can turn on. And I think that's pretty great, too. I wish, honestly, more games included that sort of, accessibility thing, because a lot of people just want to play the game for the story. That's that's the part I'm interested in. I don't necessarily want to push all the buttons. So, having the auto battle, I did think that was pretty great. Yeah. And then finally, that takes us to fun factor.
I'm going to give the fun factor a straight, exact middle of the road 3.5.
That is exactly where I was as well.
That is not the middle of the road. That's not half a 5, and I can't pretend that it is. But it's a little bit more than
2.5. Is the middle of the road.
But no, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
But it's better than that.
Yeah, it is better than that.
Yeah, I agree. I do ultimately think, like, while this is, I'm not itching to go play Mother 3 after I finish this. I wasn't like, I gotta do more of this thing. And I'm not interested at all in going back to what is apparently a less refined version in EarthBound Beginnings or Mother. No interest.
Love the soundtrack, though. The music is really good in EarthBound Beginnings.
Sure. I'll listen to a soundtrack all day.
But you can just listen to the soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah, actually going back and dumping 40 hours into it, just probably not a thing I'm going to do.
I've tried a couple of times, and even with rewind and stuff, the game just is a hassle to play. I understand completely why they didn't release it in the first place. I think it would have been dead on arrival.
Sure. And, like, I'm much more interested in finishing Undertale or starting and getting up to Chapter 5 in Deltarune or finishing off, like, or any of the games that have been inspired by Undertale. Like, I'm much more interested in those. That being said, I do think this is a game that you should probably play if you haven't. If
Mother 3 ever winds up on NSO, and if there's ever an official English translation on NSO, I will give it a go.
I'll give it a shot,
because if EarthBound if EarthBound is this much more refined than Beginnings, then I would like to assume that Mother 3 is that much more refined than EarthBound, and I've heard nothing but really good things about it. So,
well, this puts me at a solid 16.5,
and I'm at a 17.
Yeah, that's a very solid showing. It is only behind Alien Soldier for me. Alien Soldier, I had it an 18.
Alien Soldier, I have it a 17.5. So yeah, we're in the same rankings there.
We talked about Alien Soldier about 6 years ago. So we've got a lot of thoughts from the listeners.
Do. Let's get through these as quick as we can, because again, we don't want to die.
No.
All right, let's see here. First up, let's see, we're still in Donkey Kong. Looks like Unas11 was the first one to talk about EarthBound, I think. Do you see anything earlier than that?
What date are you looking at?
5/17.
5/17. Let's see. 5/17. Yep.
All right, so I'll start. Unas11 says, so EarthBound I've put 15 to 20 hours into. The team seemingly coming together. Have tried this game a few times over the years, and I'll get the Lead Shark Gang leader, and that'd be the game for me. Now I just beat Belch. Fuck that fight. That fight sucked. But so far overall, the feel is of 1990s, 2000s. Look at me, I'm zany, and OMG, look at me, I'm different. Moo, see, I'm different vibe to it. And I'm not saying that as an insult to the game or to belittle the game. Actually, I enjoy that vibe, but fear the understanding of that vibe will be lost on future generations. That makes a degree of sense. Yeah, there was like Freakazoid. There was definitely a lot of Animaniacs sort of like look how irreverent we are happening back then.
Yeah,
I think EarthBound handles that pretty well.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying though. Like I think this game rewritten, cleaned up a little bit, streamlined a little bit. There's a couple things where I feel like it could be streamlined a little bit. Some of the story stuff doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense because they mention things and just don't ever fucking talk about them again. Like even right down to the very end of the game, there's new shit being introduced that we're like, oh, okay, fucking cool, whatever. Yeah. I agree. Durok Pig follows that up with, so I sat down for the first time and tried out EarthBound. Admittedly, I didn't really play RPGs back in the day when this was released, and I remember the ad campaign for it not looking all that interesting and not being terribly impressed with the overall look of the game when I saw it in Nintendo Power. What he's referencing, if you don't know, Angry Video Game Nerd actually starts his review of this game with the Nintendo Power thing where it's like, this game stinks, and it's like a scratch and sniff on Mr. Belch or whatever, and it was like, okay, 90s, I see you. At the time, I found turn-based RPGs generally kind of boring outside of Super Mario RPG, because I was an edgy teen into action and fighting games. Fucking same. I see you. More recently, as I've gotten older, I've started to attempt more turn-based RPGs like the Mario and Luigi games, Blue Dragon, and enjoyed Don't Look Up Blue Waffles. Very, very different. Enjoyed them quite a bit, but this game brings back those feelings of being kind of boring. The opening definitely feels like a slog. I'm just not very interested in the world or the characters. I mean, the dog bails on you right off the bat. What the hell? Then I got destroyed going into the arcade and lost half my money after a bird pecked my eyes and stole 2 loaves of bread in my inventory. This definitely doesn't feel like a beginner's RPG, but it's not quite grabbing me. I will try to spend a bit more time with it, but the first impression isn't great. And like, that is something that we did not mention. This game is hard. This is not an easy game.
Especially when you're by yourself. It gets way easier when you have more party members. But that beginning when you're running solo is...
Yeah, it's tough, man.
A lot of grinding, yeah. A lot of grinding, a lot of dying. I abused the hell out of the rewind feature.
Absolutely.
On the Switch. Let's see, Chronodin says, I just started today. My initial impression for the first 20 minutes or so is varying iterations of nostalgia, as I only really played maybe half the game when it first came out, and I was much younger, but also less patient and strategic about RPGs. I remember playing it and liking parts of it, but I also remember being very frustrated and turned off by other parts. I did love RPGs, but I wasn't much for grinding levels or appreciating something for what it is. And that's very obviously important for this game. It's not Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. It's definitely its own thing, and you either appreciate what it's trying to be and don't hold it to the standards of not being what it isn't trying to be, or you'll probably be disappointed. I fell into the latter category as a kid, and I didn't fully appreciate it. It's too early to tell just yet if I would appreciate it more this time around, but my first thought is that if I have the time to put into it, level up properly so I don't feel overwhelmed, because I get the sense that this game isn't going to
really
take it easy
emotional
on
for you, Chris.
when it comes to challenge and respect the world's quirkiness, and that I'll have a pretty good time with it. Aesthetically, it's such an interesting combination of childlike, colorful landscapes. Even the signs for the stores look like they were drawn with crayons, and the world-ending apocalyptic threats. There's definitely a vibe of something creepy and unnerving going on underneath it all, which I don't hate. As a kid, I struggled with RPGs in which I couldn't see the action taking place. I also wasn't a fan of the first-person perspective in battles such as this one. I feel the same way. Along those lines, I didn't play games like Lufia and the Fortress of Doom for more or less that very reason, though I think I would have really appreciated it and hoped to take that on one of these days too. But I'm okay with them now, having a very different perspective on these games than adolescent me, and it doesn't bother me so far in this game. Oh, continuing. He responded to Durok Pig's thing and said, not gonna lie, I found the dog noping right off pretty funny and anticipated a new party member and boss battle, which kind of happened a little later, but nope, he just didn't want anything to do with it. Man's best friend indeed.
Yep, let's see. Duroc Pig responds with, I was excited. I thought, oh, cool, the dog helps you. Then it just noped the fuck out. It was very disappointing, especially after naming the dog after my most loyal girl. Which, yeah, right? Like, I didn't even think about that because I knew the dog fucking punked out. So it's just like, whatever, whatever the fucking dog's name is. But like, if you're somebody who's like loves dogs and you're like, oh, fucking sweet, I have a dog as a companion here, that's fucking great, and then your dog runs away, that hurts, man. It hurts.
Let's see. There was more dog talk, but let's get to more of the Prussian stuff here. Let's see. Tiny Matt says, EarthBound is one of my all-time very favorite games of pretty much all time. I love it so much, I have played through it to completion at least a dozen times and played into it even more times than that. The first few hours of the game can be difficult, but one thing to remember when juggling the game's inventory is that you are not meant to hold on to items. Use your healing items from the beginning, and don't be afraid to use Paula's, or whoever you named her, psi abilities. Her offensive magic rarely makes up for her really poor attack and vitality stat. If anybody has any questions about the game or think they got stuck and can't figure something out, I'm more than willing to answer any questions about the games. Which Chronodin then asked, so he basically gave a whole bunch of information on the game.
Yeah.
Let's see. Looking for more things that are actually like things to read. There was a lot of just lively conversation about the game.
Yeah, which made me happy. Like, that's kind of the whole point of this, is to generate, conversation around these titles and things, the way we would if we were just sitting around bullshitting about it, of a game that we've all played through.
Yeah. All right, let's go down to Trash Man's on June 10th.
Trashman said, I don't actually know when I first got to play EarthBound. I think it was in the late 2000s. I know I had seen it in Nintendo Power before, but I had never come across my plate. It had never come across my plate until that point. For a lot of people, this game doesn't click, or they just don't get it. I didn't have that problem. The colorful designs, wacky NPCs, ridiculous enemies, and entertaining dialogue all caught my attention. It was a welcome change from 16-bit RPGs of the same era. Interestingly, EarthBound is how I learned about price charting. I saw it in a GameStar, inquired about purchasing it, then decided to walk away. As I was leaving, I saw the clerk double-check a website and increase the price tag by $30. I kicked myself for not getting it then, but eventually acquired a copy. Every few years, I get the itch to play. Each pass seems to discover something new. It's not a perfect game. Some parts are a little unforgiving, and the inventory management can be annoying. It's unlikely most players have the manual. A first-pass traversal without a guide can be challenging. That being said, if you can get an hour into the game, you've most likely got it figured out. There's a certain charm to EarthBound, which I can only describe as childlike imagination. It takes mundane, everyday things, makes them magical. It's unquestionable that the Mother Trilogy as a whole has made an impact on people in video game development. Undertale, Lisa, even the Stick of Truth, all were influenced by the mind of Shigesato Itoi. I'm sure the roots of it continue to spread even now. I think everyone should give it a try, at least to see where it lands. If it falls flat, you learn that it's not for you, but if you're lucky, it'll resonate, and you'll find something more. And I think that's one of the other things that, coming from other RPGs, right? Thinking about, I hadn't played this game until now, so the breadth of RPGs that have come out in the last 30 years since this one, I hold on to items.
Me too. I hoard items.
I hoard shit until I absolutely need to do it. And I'm always trying to max out potions and max out this, that, and the other. So the idea that you just kind of use through that shit. Like I said, at the beginning when I started talking about this is a very un-RPG RPG. You have to just play it differently, which is fine.
Duroc Pig then says, so I spent more time with EarthBound today. This is my third time messing with it. I beat up the cops and made it to the second town. I don't know how far I am. I can't imagine it's very far, but I'm honestly just bored. I'm not playing it because I'm having fun. I'm playing it just because. Maybe it isn't connecting with me, but at this point, I just want to play something else. And that's not a great place to be. Even though King of Swing was admittedly not great and frustrating, I never felt bored. But this game just isn't very enjoyable to play right now. And that's a bummer, but you know what?
Yeah.
I followed this up with my conversation about what I should pick for my letter F, thinking I should jump into Final Fantasy VII because I feel like I'm supposed to play that game, but I don't really enjoy it, so I'm not going to. And if you didn't enjoy this game, you shouldn't play it either.
That's all right. Some people don't like hip
hop. I
hop.
should play Fisher Price games or Faceball, and no.
I have such a good pick for F. I think I have such a good pick for F. You're not going to pick it. I'll just save it for next time. It's fine.
Okay. Well, there's one more from P2Mick28. It's a long one. Why don't you take care of that for us?
That's down at the bottom. Scrolling. All right. I've started a few times all over that EarthBound, or I've stated a few times that EarthBound is basically a remake of Mother, but expanded upon in every direction. I was originally going to just review EarthBound Beginnings, since I had coincidentally started that the same week EarthBound was revealed to be the next Super Series game, but I'm trying to be a lot more concise since now I've managed to complete both. Beginnings music is just as good, perhaps better. Stop with the notifications. Damn you, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm getting the same ones.
Yeah. Beginnings music is just as good, perhaps better, since it's a lot more restricted and has a lot less experimental, weird, non-music going for it versus EarthBound. The story relies heavily on you filling in the blanks to create connections you're just told exist, and the balance is significantly less forgiving in Mother. If you really like EarthBound, I can recommend Mother EarthBound Beginnings just to experience it, but I suspect that the recently released ROM hack that turns EarthBound into Mother is the best way to go. The level of quality of life EarthBound brings to the franchise cannot be understated. However, I honestly dearly want a remake of this whole series using the Link's Awakening remake engine. A modern expression of these games could really offer a wonderful take on these stories. EarthBound, woof, it's a lot of toe tapping along with the excellent music. Almost no grinding, especially compared to Mother. All of the characters feel useful most of the time, and you actually get to use all 4 characters at once, unlike Mother where the 3rd character is kicked out when the 4th character decides to tag along. But I feel the story was pretty lacking. Perhaps I'm hung up too much on modern games that have far more capacity, capability, Undertale, Deltarune, but I don't feel that way about Final Fantasy 3/6, Chrono Trigger, or Super Mario RPG. Heck, the story bits, the interactions between the characters, that's why I love Final Fantasy VI so much. Also what makes it the best one. So yeah, EarthBound story, that's just a little editorializing, but, I'm right. Fuck off. So yeah, EarthBound story is weak. The game itself is full of whimsy and humor, but that itself doesn't endear the characters or story to me much. It is impressive, though. EarthBound managed to squeeze in a few neat tricks here and there, especially towards the end. The sheer number of music tracks is pretty staggering. I was honestly pretty tired of the camera guide towards the end. Same. It was a weird back and forth. At first it was cute, then annoying, then it started being neat to find camera spots again. And I was finally on board at the end when during the credits one of the photos had dead characters in it and I laughed. But I gotta end on a bad note, one that just might ruin not just one, but many games. Ness doesn't actually have most of the Psy abilities he uses in Smash Brothers. He doesn't have PK Fire, Thunder, or Starstorm. I didn't realize he has Flash, though. That is one of his PK moves. Freeze, though, isn't, which is okay because Lucas has that, not Ness. He does have a bat most of the time, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's that. That's you guys, we ended up with what, like 3 months to play EarthBound?
Yeah, we wound up with plenty of time to play it.
Plenty of time. So let's see, Kris, what do you have for the letter F?
I have no idea.
Really?
I mean, I haven't settled 100%. I know what my gut is telling me, but I figured I would save myself for now to see if something else would jump out at me in the letter F that would make me decide to change my mind. So I'm just going to take a quick pop over here to my Game Eye selection here. I'm going to look at all platforms. I'm going to scroll down to the letter F and see if anything jumps out at me more than what my gut pick is. Because I really want to play my gut pick, but also it's really predictable.
I mean,
let's see.
Predictable. I don't know. I just sent you the one that I would be picking if I were picking F, because I am so endlessly fascinated by this game.
Is it in the podcast recording?
In the Discord chat.
Discord
where we currently are. That is what I would
chat. There it is.
Yeah, it's the little speech bubble in the upper right.
Okay.
That is what I would pick.
All right. I've messed around with this a little bit, and the reason that I'm not going to pick it is because it would require playing a fan translation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of against the grain here a little bit. I guess it's not really a no. It's a yeah. Cut that out. Just leave it in. Let the listeners guess. Who knows?
Let the listeners figure it out. That's right. What my F game is going to be in 2 years. Yeah. So if you want to get a head start, figure it out.
Should make you all play Flip Out for Jaguar.
Fuck you.
It's a good game.
I mean, so I know you were thinking Final Fantasy VII, and
I'm definitely not picking Final Fantasy VII.
I agree with the listeners. It's just I think at this point we can just put it to bed, right? Like you've tried it enough times. It's just not for you, and that's okay. I
would really like to try to mess around with the new version, the remake. I enjoyed the demo. Maybe that'll do it for me.
Maybe that'll be the version of the game that you get into, but like,
or maybe I'll play Final Fantasy VII one day when I'm retired.
Not like a chance.
I'm going to die broke and alone.
Wow, just that got dark.
All right, nothing else is jumping out at me. Oh, see this. All right, I am kind of two minds here because this one is something that's always been in my brain as something I'd like to spend some time with. Oh, jeez. You know what? Fuck it. We're going with Fantasy Zone the Maze.
Fantasy Zone the Maze.
Fantasy Zone the Maze, which is I think it's technically Fantasy Zone 3. I don't know if it's actually what that is, but so I love Fantasy Zone and Fantasy Zone 2 on the Master System. I love those games. And then I realized that there was a third Fantasy Zone game on the Master System that I hadn't played called Fantasy Zone the Maze. And
I don't know this.
What was in training? I'm looking for more information on it. But anyway, it's on the Sega Master System. It was released here in North America as Fantasy Zone the Maze. Yeah, it looks weird. It doesn't look anything like the other Fantasy Zone games. It's almost like it's a cross between Fantasy Zone and Pac-Man, and I find it utterly fascinating. And I've never actually
I'm interested.
Actually played it. So
neither have I, and I really like Fantasy Zone. So
yeah,
right on. That's an exciting pick.
Zone. Yeah, I was gonna go with Frogger for PlayStation, but I'll have to pick that the next time because I also absolutely friggin' love that game. But I think this is a little bit more what I'm in the mood for right now because I've played the heck out of Frogger for PlayStation. I just want you to play Frogger for PlayStation. This one I have not played, and I think it'll be good for all of us. So
I think
there
so.
You have it.
It's a nice palate cleanser until I pick some bullshit for the letter H. We're playing Hellboy.
Oh boy. All right. Well, with that, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to check in with week old news. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. Kris here, and if you know me, which if you're watching this, it's likely that you do, then you know that I love video game history. That's why I created Stone Age Gamer Archaeology, a video series chronicling different video game franchises from a North American gamer's perspective. Modeled after the Old Game Trailers retrospective series, Stone Age Gamer Archaeology breaks down every game, no matter how small, and puts them into historical context to tell the story of how they came to be and how gamers like myself discovered them. Don't miss Stone Age Gamer Archaeology right here on the Stone Age Gamer YouTube channel. All right, everybody. Hey, we're back. Dan's dying. It is 150 degrees in the annex. I believe we're actually watching the action figures melt behind him.
Yes.
Which is super fun. So in that case, I was going to jump into all the listener feedback we didn't do last week for the SAG Cartoon Express. But in the interest of Dan staying alive, we're going to say that it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everyone's favorite segment. Strap yourselves in for Week Old News. Welcome to Week Old News, where we discuss all the news that was new a week ago. And first up, we're going to speedrun some of this stuff. There's a couple conversations we actually need to have. So
yes,
I'm just going to jump over a handful of things here that don't really need to be talked about. Just kind of go over the headlines. Takashi Tezuka, he was retiring before. Now he's going to stay on a little bit of a production role. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Cool, Nintendo also raises base employee salary by 10%, according to Go Nintendo. In the face of the industry being what it is, you kind of love to see that. Yeah. Any company, not just in the game industry, any company raising base employee salary by 10%, you just love to see that. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, IGN is a headline, "We're done paying for executives' failures. Unionized Xbox developers hold press conference to make their point as Microsoft reportedly readies massive layoffs." Yeah, we're expecting a bloodbath from Microsoft soon, which should be great. And then Atari's rise...
Yeah, it seems to be Monday seems to be the target date for when the information is going to start hitting.
We'll see. On the opposite side of the spectrum, as far as acquisitions that have generally turned out to be pretty good, Atari, according to Push Square, Atari's rise continues as it acquires SteamWorld maker Thunderful. This also seems like a pretty good fit.
It does.
Again, this is having these smaller development studios. This isn't like a giant corporation eating small ones. Everything seems to be adding things to what makes modern Atari. We're starting to get to the point where acquisitions are starting to make me just a little bit nervous. But again, this company like Thunderful Games doesn't have a ton of output. This just seems like, okay, we're gonna congeal with these other companies and just kind of do our thing. For now, this seems like an okay kind of acquisition. I mean, I would have preferred that they stay independent. I usually prefer that, generally speaking. But if anyone was gonna buy them, I'm pretty okay with it being Atari.
Yeah, Atari is not Sony. They're not Microsoft. They're not Nintendo. Yeah. Like, let's not pretend that this is a massive corporation acquiring an independent developer to shut them down in a couple of years.
Exactly. They're not going to use them for a few things and sell them for parts. Yeah, I think that's the difference, is that they don't seem to be like... Their acquisitions seem to be made for a purpose. Like, yeah, they want to help them make the kinds of games that they want to make, which is what an acquisition should be about, as opposed to, we want to acquire this company so that they can make what we want them to make, and if it doesn't work out, well then, fuck them.
Yeah.
Over in the collectibles and media department, quote, "We are expanding the Tetris universe. A Tetris CG animated series is in the works. Thank you, Time Extension, for reporting on that probably terrible idea."
Yeah, probably. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. All right, let's see. The Steam Machine Companion Cube was canceled because they didn't ask Valve for permission, which is just hilarious. I thought that is just D-brand
being D-brand.
I thought that was official.
I
put this in the hardware.
Official.
It did. I put this news story in the hardware category because it technically involves hardware. But the headline from Go Nintendo is the NES becomes a weapon during AEW's 12-man steel cage match. Dan, did you see this happen? Did somebody beat somebody up with an NES? Is that what happened here?
During the Death's Door steel cage match, the conglomeration all brought book bags out to the ring. Usually they have like their championship belts in them because one of their wrestlers, Orange Cassidy, is just the most nonchalant motherfucker that has ever nonchalanted. Right? So they all came out with backpacks. And Kyle O'Reilly, who I wrote an article about a long time ago on geekade.com for my Why I Love Wrestling series. Wonderful, wonderful wrestler. Out of his backpack, took out a Nintendo, then took out a Nintendo cartridge, went to put it in the Nintendo, stopped, looked at the audience, and everybody started cheering, as he started blowing into the fucking cartridge, everybody erupts in applause. Then he puts it in the Nintendo and fucking nailed somebody right in the head with it. Like an original, like front-loading NES. It was fucking awesome. And one of the commentators was even like, what is he doing? That's worth a lot of money. It's like, yeah. It was great. Funny. I loved it.
All right, we're going to skip over a few of these because these are the ones we actually want to talk about. There are two stories in particular that I genuinely want to talk about, like have a conversation. Yes. So we're going to skip that. Multiple unused Banjo-Kazooie music tracks have been discovered. That's pretty cool. Go Nintendo reports. Let's see here. Banjo-Kazooie released blah, blah, blah. Banjo-Kazooie just received another port, this time as part of the Hyper Megatech Super Pocket Rare Edition. This handheld includes 14 home computer consoles from Rare, including blah blah blah. After you complete this version of Banjo-Kazooie, you'll gain access to a music player. This player has all the tracks you'd expect, but there's also a wealth of never-before-heard tunes as well. This music player is hiding 20 unused beta tracks, including early versions of songs, tracks that got moved over to Banjo-Tooie, and tunes that simply didn't make the cut. That is awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Let's see. GameSpot reports GTA 6 won't be on a disc, not at launch or months after, report says. Everyone was assuming, GTA 6 just being code in a box, that's temporary, it's just to avoid leaks. They'll put it on a disc eventually. No, apparently that's not going to be the case.
What a ridiculous assumption, though.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Oh no, they'll do it eventually. Like, I mean, and granted, motherfuckers would double dip. Like, for sure they would.
Yeah.
But still, like, that is a silly thing to say.
It's kind of a stretch.
It's silly.
We need to mention that. Oh, this is a huge bummer. Go Nintendo reports Cruisin' Blast was delisted from the Switch eShop. Cruisin' Blast was a blast. I'm sure I've said that before, and I will say it again. That game's a lot of fun. It's not the most perfect racing game you'll ever play, but it is exactly what it sets out to be. It is a arcade, ridiculous cruising game. And it was a lot of fun, and it's a tragedy that it's been delisted. Go get the physical copy. There's physical copies out there. I've got one on my shelf, and I'm damn glad that I did, because can't get it digitally anymore, which is a ding-dang shame. I was really hoping that they'd do something with this to, like, spoof it up on Switch, too, because...
and maybe they will?
Yeah, maybe they will. Maybe that's what they're working on, because the game's a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure it sold really well.
That does happen from time to time, right? Where they will, sorry, I've got a new Batman toy that I'm playing with. Where they will delist something that they're working on, like a different version of, right? That's not unheard of.
Yeah, that's not unheard of. So fingers crossed that's what it is, and not just some weird midway thing. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered launches in August. Physical edition confirmed by Nintendo Life. This is a funny story to have happened when it did, because they announced the Switch 2 version, and it's the whole thing. They specifically call out physical cartridge containing the full base game. More on that in a bit, but hey...
Why is that important, Kris?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. This is in the general news department, relevant to what we were just talking about in our previous segment. Time Extension reports the creator of Fantasy Zone's Opa Opa has been posthumously revealed. Yoko Kobayashi designed the iconic ship and the game's other characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. It's awesome that somebody is finally getting credit. That game's great.
Even though they are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a mystery. Speaking of people getting credit where they're due, Time Extension reports Kingdom Hearts composer Yoko Shimomura to perform concert later this year to celebrate her almost 40-year career. We're talking...
That's fucking wild.
Legend of Mana, Xenoblade Chronicles, various Final Fantasy games, Street Fighter II, Super Mario RPG, Kingdom Hearts. Yoko Shimomura is a freaking legend. Her music is incredible. And I love that she's going to get her own concert. And that's pretty cool. I wish I could go to it, but I'm sure it is way outside of my price range.
Yeah.
Over in the strange and unusual department, apparently somebody got Dragon's Lair running on a Dreamcast. That's cool, I guess.
Why not?
There was a couple of 3DO stories that I didn't get a chance to read, so I'm going to look into them a little bit right now. They're both from Time Extension. The first one here is 3DO's alleged new owner, quote, working carefully through complexities to return to the hardware arena. We aim to launch 2 types of hardware. What in the world are you on about?
Don't do it. Especially now. Especially now.
Exclusively to... I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. The man behind the recently reported and subsequently challenged revival of the 3DO company, and he tells Time Extension that one of his long-term goals is to return to the hardware arena that originally birthed the brand. Okay, that's
why?
Certainly
to
a choice.
What end? Stop it.
The first, he says, would be a retro console, which presumably follows in the footsteps of systems like the SNES Classic and Mega Drive Mini. This would, I assume, be based on emulation and would come preloaded with games. What games? What 3DO games are people itching for on a 3DO? The second platform would be a modern 3DO ecosystem, a modern console platform that will host our new titles, updated legacy games, and an open storefront ecosystem where indie developers can self-publish their games. That sounds like the Atari VCS. And you don't need to do that.
No, because that already exists.
This all sounds like a bad idea. This sounds like a bunch of bad ideas. So what's the other one here? Quote,
is that the one saying that it's shutting down?
I'm currently of the opinion that this is not legitimate. There's something weird going on with 3DO right now. So this was by Damien McFerrin. No, this Jack Yarwood at Time Extension. In this job, I'm used to seeing old defunct companies come back from the dead, typically when some unrelated third party comes along and hoovers up a bunch of rights. But even I don't really know what to make of this recent post from the publisher Empire Interactive on LinkedIn a few days ago, which claims the company that, quote, has the trademark and select intellectual property rights of the 3DO company. Why, you may ask? Well, that's because, as far as I was aware, Empire Interactive has also been dead as a publisher since 2009, with the company's back catalog having been sold off more than a decade ago. So in other words, this doesn't seem to be the case of just one old publisher coming back from the dead, but 2, making me want to do my best Haley Joel Osment impression. As fearfully as I type, I see dead. As I fearfully type, I see dead companies. Let's see.
That's right. I'm dribbling water on myself. That's how hot it is out here.
This is a whole ass thing, and I don't understand what's going on. But something is happening with 3DO. Somebody thinks that bringing 3DO back in some way, shape, or form is a good idea, and
that person is a fucking idiot.
I have my own degree of love for the 3DO, and I understand that its fandom exists, and they enjoy the system and the line of systems. But I don't think there is a market for new 3DO stuff any more than there's a market for new Jaguar stuff. Somebody's going to want it, but it is going to be super niche.
Not enough for everybody else to make it.
On to the things that we need to discuss. The things we actually need to discuss. The first chunk...
Something happened this week?
There were 2 things that completely blew my mind this week. And this one didn't so much blow my mind so much as it was just more like, this was coming, but also... Alright, Push Square reports PS6 will be a digital console, and Sony has huge questions to answer about backwards compatibility. Let's see, what's the other piece of this? Well, I guess it's just gonna cover that in here. PlayStation is, with today's news, PlayStation consoles to stop getting disc-based physical releases in 2028. Sony is officially going fully digital, no longer offering physical media for their platforms. So, if you spent the money on that disc drive for your PlayStation 5, nuts to you.
Well, I don't necessarily agree that that's fair.
Yeah, not completely.
I am massively fucking upset about this. Massively upset. I think the timing is very, very curious, right? We're expecting a bloodbath to come out of Microsoft here relatively soon, so Sony's like, let's get this shit out of the way first, because people are going to be fucking mad.
And the way that they're trying to paint over it, just to get the actual quote out of the way before you get to your opinions on it. The PlayStation blog says, as consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. The floor is yours.
So, look, it is probably the case, honestly. It is probably the case that most of their sales come from digital. That's probably the case, right? It's probably the case for Microsoft. I would say it's probably not the case for Nintendo, but I don't even know that that's true. I know it's certainly the case for PC games, because there are no physical PC games, right? That's one of my favorite takes that I've seen this week. Is I'm done with PlayStation, I'm going to PC. It's like, okay, but there's no physical games there, right? Like, just that's all digital, right? So that's part of it. So while that may be the case, the biggest issue that I have with this, honestly, is that unless, and there was some sort of story going around about Europe potentially ruling against Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, I believe it was all three of them, about not being allowed to lock their own personal storefronts to their consoles. Right, like there do exist other ways to buy digital games. You need to allow consumers to access those options through your systems. There's something going around about that. Until that is the case, I really hate this. This was going to happen eventually. Somebody has to be the first to do it. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that the PlayStation 5 even shipped with a disc option. I really am, right? This is the way that we have been trending for years. And I don't like it, especially in light of last week. I don't remember if we covered it or not, but Sony just sent an email out and they were like, so if you purchased any of these movies, we're deleting them from your systems. Like, you don't actually own the digital things that you purchase. So there's a lot of legality that has to be discussed around that. That being said, this is what Steam is. There are no physical PC games, and nobody has a fucking problem with it there. Because Steam gets to a point where the sales are so massive that I think that really alleviates some of it. Part of the concern here, right, is that with no Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop, whoever the fuck, to offer discounts on physical games, especially physical games that have been out for a little while, that, it's a year later, so we're dropping the price to $30, $20, whatever, we're just trying to move the inventory. There's no incentive for Sony to ever lower the price of their marquee titles. Kind of the way Nintendo does, right? Like, Nintendo does have sales, but their marquee titles stay expensive throughout the life of their system, both at retail and physical, or at retail and digital, right? So there's a lot of conflicting thoughts that I'm having about all of this. Ultimately, eliminating consumer choice is bad for consumers. And anytime a corporation tries to spin it otherwise, just remember, they're not your friends. They never have been, they never will be.
This bit about consumer preferences continuing to shift away from physical discs to digital, that's where it immediately jumps out at me as either them being completely tone deaf, oblivious, or just flat out lying. Because there's actually been a recent shift towards physical media. The younger generation wants things because they want to own things. You know what I mean? there's a reason that the vinyl market still exists, and it's not just old people like us. There's a reason that younger people are starting to buy the movies that they like instead of just streaming them. Like, there's a want to have ownership over the things that they want. Now, is that it's not a huge thing. It's not like this is taking over digital sales, especially on PlayStation. That's not going to be the case. But that's always been one of the primary differences between the PC and console market, is that the console was a thing that you could just get your game, put your thing in, and you're good to start playing the game. Now, PlayStation and Xbox have been moving away from this for years. They've been moving towards this as hard as they can for ages. And they want to get rid of that used game market. Because they don't get a cut of that no matter what. That used game market, they hate it. And this gives them complete control over it. But it's really losing a part of the general identity, which is something that the last couple of console generations have really been going through with Microsoft and Sony in particular, is losing that identity. Like, what is the difference between a PlayStation and a PC?
Starting to be less and less, except I can't get PlayStation games on a PC.
Exactly. But if the system becomes all digital, then what exactly is it that's making your system as opposed to, I don't know, it's kind of drawing a weird line.
It is. But again, I think we have a very different viewpoint on this, because we are, look behind me, look behind you, we like physical shit. The people that listen to us and interact with us and are in this retro space and frequent Stone Age Gamer and all of those places like physical media. They just do. Do you think, right, that Grand Theft Auto 6 being only available digitally is going to impact the sales of that game in any way, shape, or form?
Not in
obviously it's
way.
not.
I mean,
so our echo chamber, right, acknowledging that we do exist within a particular echo chamber, we just do. The push towards physical certainly seems to be gaining momentum in those sorts of things, in retro conventions, and certainly with the Switch. But if it doesn't make sense for, and I'm not defending the corporation, this is just why they would do it, if it's legitimately 15% of their market is physical, well, then it's very much likely costing them as much, if not more money, to continue to make physical products. No business is going to do that.
Right. But you
that's
also
just not a thing that's going to happen.
That the reason that their physical market is as low as it is that Microsoft and Sony in particular have been making their physical products less enticing. They have been pushing for, you should buy this game digitally instead of physically for years. The packaging, their footprints in stores, their willingness to put forth the effort into physical releases, especially Microsoft. I mean, there's a reason that Microsoft stuff doesn't have as much of a footprint in that collecting of like limited run games and stuff. They don't usually publish Xbox games. It's just not something that audience has been trained into wanting as much physical stuff for. It's something that they have been pushing for ages. Nintendo, on the other hand, sees the value in their physical market because they foster it. PlayStation could absolutely have that kind of a thing if they weren't. Maybe if they had decided to go with game cards instead of discs in this current generation or whatever, that could be a horse of a different color. But then Sony has not tried to foster that physical part. Nintendo has been trying to foster it. That's why you have weird shit like game key cards. That Nintendo is just like, here's a completely batshit crazy idea. What if we offered you something that was a digital game that was also kind of a physical game? And everyone's like, that's stupid. But at least they're trying.
Don't do that.
Because they understand the value of having their games in a store. They understand the value of having something that you can give as a gift. That's a part of their business. And
I don't disagree with that. Yeah. I would push back a little bit on like things like you said about like packaging and that sort of stuff. for Sony's big tentpole games, there are collector's editions. Always have been, right? Their space in retail stores, it's diminishing because it's not selling. If Walmart and Target and Best Buy were selling Blu-rays and records and see, if they were selling it at the rate that they used to, they would still have the space dedicated to it. Like, that's not a Sony thing. That's not a Microsoft thing. It's not a Nintendo thing. That's a them thing. Like, they're gonna, if washing machines are what's selling, more space for the washing machines, less space for whatever. Like, every time I buy a PlayStation game, the packaging is just as nice and thought out. It includes just as little of an instruction manual as every Nintendo game I've purchased. Like, I would push back on that a little bit. Where I don't disagree is that they do obviously want it to be physical. They want or digital. They want control of that market. So does Nintendo. I promise they do, because they're a corporation. They do.
Yeah, but like, they're also making money off the physical stuff. Like, that's working everyone from key cards to digital only. That's the next step. Like, it doesn't go back from that. I don't know that I agree with that, because I think that they see the value in the money that they can make off of physical goods.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I really, really do. I want this to get to the point where whenever the PS6 comes out, like in 2028 or whatever the fuck, because obviously they're not going to put a digital-only system out, I don't think, before they end the production of physical games. That seems like it would just be weird and confusing timing-wise. But I want it to get to a point where they're like, discs are back, here's an add-on. Like, that's... Right. I hope that we get there. I very much doubt it. Maybe not this next generation for Nintendo, or maybe not the current Nintendo generation, but at some point, there's just so many things that go into the manufacturing of those tiny-ass little key cards that certain games just aren't gonna fucking fit. Like, they're just not for a price,
we already run into that. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to argue that Nintendo is sticking with the physical stuff for altruistic reasons.
Right.
I think
they're definitely not.
That in their world, in their audience, and their company philosophy, they see the value in the physical products. Because when there's physical product, the product itself is tangible and less disposable. And that's all part of their long-term, valuing their brand thing. And
if
we'll see,
the Switch 2 that I got and that you got had come with a physical copy of Mario Kart World, I might put more stock in your argument. Because it was digital, I don't.
Well, because that was the cheapest way that was the cheapest way to get the system into your hands, but they also sold a physical copy of the game. Like, they know that's out there. But they didn't, including that physical cartridge, that would have been a horse of a different color, and also, if they included that physical cartridge, they wouldn't be able to then upsell you on more system memory. Like, that was all strategic greed right there. That just made sense. I don't think that was a reflection on their physical game situation. I think that was a reflection on how do we maximize profits, but also how do we move a system that's already more expensive than... What's the cheapest way for us to move a system that's already more expensive than people thought it was going to be in the first place? So
maybe.
It's way easier for them to give out a digital game than to give out a physical game. When they could, because that gives them more physical copies to sell to people who didn't get the digital copy. But anyway.
I do think ultimately this sucks and I don't like it. Yeah. But we've been talking about on this show for years that eventually this is where we're going to be.
Yeah, this is where things are going. There's pieces of the key, not game key cards, but the way that Nintendo is doing physical media on cards instead of discs that makes me think that there's a bit more of a future to it. Because I think that's the future of physical media, is like jump drives, like that kind of stuff. Like that makes more sense to me as far as it reads faster than discs. They last longer. I think they're, in a perfect world, they should be cheaper to produce than they are right now, but that's where we are. That's not the world we're currently living in. But either way, that is another one of the stories is that that I was poking around here was Nintendo. Nintendo Life says Nintendo may be the last bastion of physical games, as Xbox's Project Helix is also set to ditch discs. So the next Xbox system is rumored to be, let's see, according to a report from Windows Central, it sounds like Xbox's upcoming Project Helix will launch without a disk drive, potentially joining Sony in ditching the discs altogether. The Verge is also reporting that Microsoft is tinkering with the idea of converting Xbox One and Xbox Series physical games into digital media. So, it's not looking great for either of those platforms, but again, just this week, Bethesda, with the Oblivion remastered Switch physical release, advertising that the whole game was on the card. There's clearly value to this as well. So, what exactly does that look like? Where does this actually leave the PlayStation 6? Like, when PlayStation 6 and Project Helix happen and they're all digital, what does that market look like? How are games going to sell? How are game sales going to be tracked? All that kind of stuff. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Is it the wrong move for them? I don't know, maybe. But maybe not. Maybe it's not the wrong move for them. I think it stinks because I like physical media, and I know that there is I think there is a market for physical media. It just has to be fostered. And I think the only company that's doing that right now in the video game space is, companies like Limited Run and also Nintendo.
And Fangamer and...
Exactly. So, I don't know. It is a weird time, and I don't like it. They're
Take
also
care of your
down...
Series X. Take care of your PS5.
Exactly. Take care of your systems, because if
that's
they're
all
toast,
you got.
Yeah.
Learn how to do repairs.
They're also closing down the PS3 and Vita stores. That's happening. I've seen a lot of conflicting reports on that, like how it probably doesn't cost very much to actually keep the store open, but what probably costs them more than it's worth is being able to process transactions on those systems.
Probably.
Just because of the way things change. I thought that was a really interesting point that I hadn't really considered before, is processing transactions on those is where that becomes very difficult, and it's probably ultimately just not profitable for them to keep those stores alive. Now, it's less of an issue with Xbox because they keep moving their products from one store to the next, I believe.
Right.
Like, you can still very easily access things that were on the older stores.
But that's because it's a PC and not...
Yeah, it's basically PC.
The PS3 store and the Vita store and the PS4 store and the PS5 stores, those are all different things. They all look different.
Proprietary. It was like when the Wii shop closed. Like, that sucked, and there's a bunch of stuff that is just straight up no longer available because it was only on WiiWare. But also, like, you couldn't not at least kind of understand, like...
Yeah, 3DS whose shop closed. Like,
who's logging into that to buy games?
Again,
3DS shop is like, that one's a little bit more recent, but like...
But they're not going to keep, again...
That stuff's never going to be forever.
Corporations are not your friends. They're not going to do it because you want them to.
Yeah.
They've made...
Stores are just not going to be around forever.
The amount of juice that they decided was worth the squeeze, and now they're moving on. And some of you are going to have to get your fucking sea legs. Because that's what it is, right? Piracy is not a price problem, it's an availability problem, right? Okay. It's also a fucking sometimes people just take shit problem. Like, that's also part of it. But for a large part of it, right, piracy exists because it's an availability problem. And if I want to play, let's, for example, the Castlevania Rebirth. What are my options to do that right now?
Somehow track down a used Wii that has it already downloaded, or sail the 7 seas.
I mean, that's it. Like, is anyone legitimately going to be like, let me look through each and every listing of every Wii to see if they happen to have this particular game on it, and then hope that the person I'm talking to doesn't decide to upcharge me because I'm very obviously looking for this one particular... Like, no, somebody's just going to fucking pirate it because it's not available. That's... So, like, you know, there's also... It's going to be very interesting to see where this market kind of goes once I can think more clear thoughts, because I'm starting to get a little delirious.
All right. Well, then let us move on to the last story I wanted to talk about. I hate leaks. We all know this about me. I despise it when somebody goes in and sneaks in and steals information and then leaks it online, and then it ruins things for everybody else, like, because all the people that made the game, all the people that were working on the reveal, they all get fucked over because all the gas has been sucked out of the room because somebody decided that it would be cool to get some internet clout to post something on Twitter and be like, hey, I found this out. It was like with the Ocarina of Time remake thing and then the last Nintendo Direct. That would have been a really neat surprise had we not all known about it for like a month and a half because somebody leaked it online. However, sometimes leaks happen and it's not somebody stealing information, it's because somebody done fucked up. We saw this during the Super Smash Bros. When Nintendo accidentally published Simon Belmont's page on the Smash Bros. Website like an hour before the Nintendo Direct went live. Like, these kinds of things happen. And that happened again this week. And I have many questions. I'm very excited. This has just changed the rest of the year for gaming for me a lot. IGN reports, next Metroid game for Switch 2 reportedly leaked in age rating from Brazilian government.
Yeah.
So there's a screenshot of it. It all seems very legit that this information came from Nintendo of America. And it's not... probably wasn't supposed to be given when it was given. But apparently, there is a new Metroid game coming out this year called Metroid Ravenous. I have many questions. This sounds like, just based on the title alone, and the fact that we just got Prime 4 not that long ago, this sounds like a follow-up to Dread.
It does.
At the end of Dread, you are full-on embracing your Metroidness. And Metroids are all about feeding. So... is this a new 2D Metroid game from Mercury Steam starting up the next full chapter of the Metroid saga? First off, the name, Metroid Ravenous. Holy shit, that's awesome. Like,
very good.
That's not a... subtitles on games tend to happen a lot. Like, there's ones that you see all the time. Ravenous is not one that I ever would have considered. And it's a weirdly unsettling name. Like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Beyond, we've seen something like that before.
Right.
But man, there are so many thoughts, so many connotations, and the fact that this is one of those like just really unfortunate leaks that's like, this is an actual just somebody done fucked up kind of leak, so I'm not mad at it. And now I'm really excited to find out if this is real, if it's going to happen. Is this what's it going to turn into? Is the name actually going to be Metroid Ravenous? Is there a new 2D Metroid game coming out this year? Like, what do you think of Metroid Ravenous, Dan? Have you heard? Did you hear about this story this week, or did this one get by?
Yeah, it very much sounds like a sequel to Dread. I have absolutely no. I hope it's a 1D Metroid game. I don't know what that means, but that's what I want. Either. No, I very much want this to be like a 2D Metroid game. It would make sense for it to be a 2D Metroid follow-up to Dread, because, as you said, Prime 4 just came out. We've had the 3D Metroid in the Prime universe, so now let's kind of go explore this. Ravenous is a good name. It does kind of tie into where Samus was at the end of that story. And yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I want it because it's Metroid, obviously. Make it happen.
Think about how, like, when I think about this, I think about how much I liked Samus Returns, but then I think about how much more refined Dread was than Samus Returns.
Yeah.
So what's the next one gonna be? Like, because they just Mercury Steam with these Metroid style games, like even going back to what was it? Lords of Shadow.
Yeah.
What was they made a 2D Metroidvania style of that. They did that, and then they did Samus Returns, right? This company has been getting better and better each time they do this kind of game. With something as powerful as the Switch 2, understanding what the feedback was from Dread, it's really exciting to think about what this game could be. And if this is really happening this year, this changes the landscape for me for the rest of the year so very much, because I really just needed one more big game to be super excited about, which we'll talk about in the next segment. But that was the news I wanted to discuss. Dan is going to take himself a quick break and cool down, maybe get a wet towel or something. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to check in with Checkpoint and then get Dan the hell out of the Memorial Annex. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. Do you enjoy the Stone Age Gamer podcast and other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network? Do you wish you could listen to them sooner than the regular unwashed masses? Do you wish you could contribute in some way? Well, then you should check out the Geekade Patreon. Yes, the Geekade Patreon is a wonderful and very much appreciated way for you to help us pay the bills and keep our shows running week after week. As a Geekade patron, you'll get a monthly podcast topic schedule and early access to nearly every show on the Geekade Podcast Network, as well as access to a patron-exclusive monthly show called DC's Amazing Movie Time from the creators of the Weekend Rental podcast. So head on over to patreon.com/Geekade and become a loved and appreciated member of the Geekade Patreon team and get early access to shows like the Stone Age Gamer podcast, this week's episode, Turning Tracks, and a whole lot more. See you there. All right, everybody, we're back. Dan is in currently, according to him, 108-degree weather, which is unacceptable. So we are going to check in with the Checkpoint. This is where we talk about what we've been up to. Dan, do you have anything that you want to talk about before I dive in?
Rhythm Heaven Groove is great.
Oh, you got it?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, I also got Rhythm Heaven Groove. It is super good. How far
I'll talk more about it next week when I can think thoughts.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I've only done. I love that the info from the demo carried over. That's great.
Yep.
I did the next row, and then we all played multiplayer. So we did all the multiplayer games. We had an absolute blast with that last night. The multiplayer is super fun. I just can't believe I have a new Rhythm Heaven game in my hands. I love it to death.
Yeah, it's great.
I played more Deltarune Chapter 2. That continues to be very good. I'm working my way through it. I had some fun with that with John this morning. It's a very cool game. I like the improvements that they made. Pretty much just everything I said about it last time I talked about it. And I guess the only other real thing to talk about is Star Fox. I finished one playthrough of just one route. I'm not great at Star Fox. I love Star Fox, but I'm not great at it. So I got through the first chunk of stages where I was doing well enough to be offered choices, and then eventually they're just like, okay, you go here now, because this is what you're up to, little fella. Yeah, baby boobop. You have fun with that. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I can't wait to play it again. I'm probably going to play a little bit of it tonight, since clearly I have a little bit more time on my hands than I expected.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I died a bunch of times on the Star Wolf fight, because the all range mode, I've always sucked at all range mode. So when they open that up and you're doing the dog fights, I'm just gutter trash at that. But I died a bunch of times to that, but eventually made it through, powered through, did the Andros fight, and it was really nice. Game's wonderful. It's so good. Star Fox 64 really is a great game, and I'm really glad they did what they did here. I do kind of wish that it was a new game, but I also think this is a really good starting point for, if you're really going to reboot Star Fox, this is kind of as good a starting point as you could want. So if the game is performing as well as I think it is, it does appear to be, charting very well, then hopefully this team will make an original sequel, and basically, I hope that this is Samus Returns and that the next one is Red. Like, this is exactly what we're talking about. You know, Mercury Steam knocked it out of the park with Samus Returns, and then when they got to do their own thing, it went so well. So here's we're hoping that they make a proper sequel to this that is more of this, not adding crazy on-foot missions and tactical maps and all that other stuff. Just keep making Star Fox. There's so much fun to be had with this kind of on-rails shooting gameplay. This is proof positive. You don't need to fuck with this anymore. Just do this and do it better and bigger and... God, this game's beautiful.
Also dinosaurs. So make sure you put dinosaurs in it.
Yes, Prince Tricky. We got to get... what's her name? Crystal has got to show up. People love their furry Crystal. They love that. Also, I did want to mention the concert. I went to the Bit Brigade concert last week, and it was extremely cool. We got to meet as soon as we walked up. Sam Griffin was outside because the Super Guitar Brothers were opening up, and I just pointed. I was like, and he just started talking to us for a few minutes, and I told him that it was John and Ellie's first concert, and he was really honored to be able to do that. So when the Super Guitar Brothers were playing, Ellie and I were, all four of us were on the dance floor, and then eventually John and Karen moved over to the side because John's legs were getting tired. And he was enjoying the Super Guitar Brothers, but not as much as me and Ellie. And there was this one point where they were both playing... They were playing the Rosalina's Observatory, this really, really beautiful song from Super Mario Galaxy, and Ellie and I were slow dancing. And like when we talked to the Super Guitar Brothers after the show, they were like, "We saw you guys dance, and we thought that was really, really nice." So
awesome.
They complimented us. They thought it was really cool that they got to be their first concert, and God, they were so good. It was such a good show. I really, really enjoyed it. But then Bit Brigade happened. And that's where Ellie basically fell asleep. She just wasn't into it. Aww. But John was so into it. John was really into the speedrun aspect of it. Like, he was really enjoying watching the guy speedrun the game. And he was also really digging the music. Yeah. However, the one thing that I will complain about is that... So when you're playing Mega Man X, right, on 4 of the stages, you'll about halfway through, you'll get, Dr. Light thing, right? Like your armor, the helmet, or whatever. After that, they played a song for Mega Man X2 for the rest of the stage. I hate the Mega Man X2 soundtrack. I think it's garbage. I wanted them to keep playing the amazing Mega Man X songs, not jump into some X2 garbage. I really, really didn't care for that at all.
Yeah, I can see where they're trying to
they want to play as many different songs as possible. I get that, and it made a lot of sense when they did Castlevania because Castlevania repeats a couple of songs throughout. This game doesn't. And it's not like the songs are short; they are worth playing for the entire stage. Yeah. The other thing that bothered me was that they completely omitted 2 songs, at least 2 songs. One of my absolute favorites from Mega Man X is the password theme. They completely skipped it. I was really looking forward to hearing what their interpretation of the password theme was going to be, and they just skipped it entirely. And also the ending music. And that one I really didn't understand, because the password theme is kind of goofy. It's tonally so different from the rest of the game. But that ending music, where you're running down the highway, they played the Mega Man 2 Wily stage. That famous track during that. And like, okay, that's cool to hear, but also like, that song is a fucking guitar solo. That song is an emo 90s guitar solo. Why are you skipping that? It's so good. So that was a big disappointment. And when I was there, I went to their merch table. I got to meet the bass player, and John and I were talking him up before the show. We were really excited to talk about, like, John loves Chill Penguin's stage theme, and he was like, I can't wait to see how you play that on bass. And the guy was like, yeah, I'll show you how. It's really, really freaking hard, and it was a lot of fun. But I bought the Mega Man 3 Bit Brigade soundtrack, which is absolutely incredible, except they also skipped the password theme. Why? I was so upset.
It's personal. It's personal. I talked to them. I was like, don't play it. Don't record it. Don't do it.
It's so good. The soundtrack, the Mega Man 3 one is pitch perfect. It is so good. They nailed Magnet Man stage, which is my favorite song in Mega Man 3. But my second favorite song in Mega Man 3 is probably that password theme. I was so sad they skipped it. But other than that, really, it was an absolutely magical night. We had such a good time. We were home in time for bed because it was right down the street in Atlantic City. If they come back again next year, I'll absolutely go back in again next year because it was just an absolute blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I will end with go see Supergirls, you fucking nerd. Supergirl was great. I haven't
had a chance to see it yet. I really want to.
Great.
We just haven't gotten to.
Is it the best movie ever made? No.
Not every movie has to be.
It doesn't have to be. It was awesome.
The pitch meeting for it dropped, and I haven't watched it because I don't want to watch the pitch meeting and spoil the movie, but I also really want to see the pitch meeting, that the Ryan George YouTube channel, because I freaking love those. I really want to see Supergirl. We just haven't had it. The kids just aren't interested, so like we got to find a way to break away the two of us. Like we got to get the kids occupied so Karen and I can go see it, which is kind of a bother. I really was hoping the kids would be more interested in it, but they're just not. And I'm not willing to force them to see this one. Like we forced them to go see, Mandalorian. We forced them to go see Superman, not like against their will, but they're like, yeah, sure, I'll go. This one they're just not interested in. So, okay,
that's
whatever.
Okay.
These things happen. We'll find a way to go see it on our own.
All right. Punching out, Maverick.
We're punching out. That's it for us. That is our show. Hopefully next week won't be still part of a friggin' heat wave, but join us next time for SAG Standouts, where we're going to be talking about our NES picks. This is going to be the first genuinely difficult one, because there have been a lot of platforms we talked about with a lot of interesting games, but the NES, now that's hard to nail down to just 5, so we've got our work cut out for us. Anywho's, we're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows in the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. It helps keep this show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by banjo guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. We'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That is it. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.